It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. It's been a while since I had an episode up, and I have been really busy with life in general, work, renovating a house that we sort of bought earlier in the year. Things are coming along, but just taking a lot of time and energy. So today's video is going to be a review of a mystery keyboard. Now, I'm sure the video on YouTube already has a title, but right now, as of filming it, I actually have no idea what it is. A representative from a company called Yunzii Keyboard reached out to me and said, would I be interested in reviewing a keyboard for them? I said, sure, not a problem, send one over. And then that was it. They grabbed my address details and they provided no other detail about what they were going to send me. And I've also discovered that their rep's Facebook account has been deleted. Now, they still have a Facebook page. So, you know, in terms of the brand and product, I believe it still exists. I just don't know what exactly it is that they've actually sent me. So we'll open up the box. I think it is a keyboard. Hopefully it's not something else weird. But I want to say that they provided me the keyboard for review. However, everything and anything that I say, good, bad, ugly, the otherwise, is all 100% my opinion as usual, of course. So let's get down onto the desktop. Right, so here is the box. It's a big box, and because I actually said to them, you know, if you wanted to send me more than one, I can also give away one. And they didn't really say very much about that particular idea. It's quite heavy, so I actually don't know if they sent me one or two. It's still taped up, and the box is a bit banged up. Obviously it came through the mail system, and yeah, I honestly don't. It had an outer bit of plastic, but there was no packing slip or invoice or anything of that nature with it, so I have zero idea about what model they might have sent me, what size. And of course it would be awfully embarrassing if this wasn't even the Yunzii one, but something else entirely different, random from someone else. But it is a Yunzii keyboard. So we got something in bubble wrap. Is it one? Is it two? No, it's just one. Okay. Well, I must say, first impressions, they've done a really great job in packaging it. Not only was their outside box, the inside box here has this really nice heavy-duty bubble wrap to it, which I have had many keyboards shipped to me by OEMs that did not take this level of care, so that's definitely a plus. I would hope that if all products are shipped this way, then that would be fantastic. Alright, so that's what we've got. It is Yunzii, definitely. There's some details there. Nothing else going on in the back there, and they've sent me a Keynovo. Alright, I don't know anything about it. Oh, they've given a little bit of a notepad, just some blank pages with some actual stitching there. That's pretty cool. A little bit unusual, but that's pretty cool. Okay, is a Keynovo. Alright, so one click to infinity, whatever that means. There's no real details. Water and beverages can't be poured into the keyboard. Alright, so it's not waterproof. Nothing on the side. On the back, we've got a sticker. So it is their IF90. Oh, focus. There it is. The IF98 in green with gateron black, and it's a wide version. So I guess that tells me there's probably a wireless version or something. So let's go and have a look at their web page. Okay, so I'm going to switch over now to the monitor, and there it is. There is the Yunzii Keynovo IF98 hot swappable gasket mounted mechanical keyboard. 129 US right now, normally 150. Okay, it looks to be a 96 key layout of sorts, or a 1800 depending on, well, it's really a 96 key. This is the green, so I'm expecting a clear polycarbonate case type arrangement. couple of different colors. There's the expanded, so it's a gasket mount with some silicone foam in it. Cool. Alright, so hot swappable, RGB backlight programmable. I'm not really going to look at any programming. It's got double shot keycaps. Okay, so there we go. That looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. Now, that's what I should see in the package. Keyboard, keycaps, switches, a cable, keycap puller, and switch puller. Slight typo there. Probably want to get that fixed. Black and green are transparent. White is not transparent. Okay, that's what we're going to be looking for. IF98 Keynovo. So, let me actually go and grab something. Got to get my cheap plastic calipers, of course, and we'll switch back down to the desktop. There we go. Okay. Actually looks pretty decent from what I can see there. Okay, here is a quick start guide. So we got the standards. It's got a whole bunch of keyboard settings for features and lighting, and it's a couple of different languages. So that's actually pretty neat. Put that aside. There is the keyboard, and then we've got some bits and pieces in the side there. So let's get the keyboard out first. Ooh. Wow, that has got some serious weight to it. Okay, there it is. Now, I like it that it does come with this clear cover. Great for dust control, and yeah, it's got like a weight to it. Right, so we're going to lift up the back there, and there is our accessories bundle. So we've got, let's get all of this out. Alrighty, there we have it. So we have some spare keycaps for example, Mac users using command and so on and so forth. And if you're going to be swapping around color accents, I don't know why you would need another shift, considering that you can't. Okay, but I suppose if programmability is an issue, then there you go. We've got some spare switches, so they've got what, 6 spare switches there. We have a pretty bog standard sort of dual puller, switch puller, and keycap puller there, and we have a coiled green cable to match. So yeah, that's pretty cute. Good color. Nice. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to put that into my quick socket there, and then I'll be able to plug that in a moment. So the first thing is, let's have a look. So it is definitely all plastic. It's a bit creaky. It does creak a bit. It's got a lot of weight to it, and there is this weight looking thing here at the back. I'm not quite sure what is going on with this. Is that meant to come out? Is that meant to pop off? Is that just how it's designed and built in? I mean, there's no tools for it, and it doesn't really look like it's designed to come off. And the manual, the quick start guide, doesn't really talk about anything of that nature. So I guess it's not really designed to be taken apart. But there is a weight to it, so that's something. And a little bit of a metal thing that says "one click to infinity," whatever that means as part of their slogan. Not quite sure what's going on there. Is that some kind of magnet? I feel like it's a magnet, but what's meant to actually sit there? something that's meant to sit there. Maybe for the wired version, the wireless version. Not sure. Now this front bit, there's like something going on there, which I don't know if that's. Oh, okay. So there we go. Ah, smart. I like that. So if you want to put in some extra switches and get the full, the scroll lock, pause, break, and media keys or whatever it is, then that's actually really clever. I like that. I really like that. That is a great idea. Cool. So I'm just going to put that back in because I don't need to fill or flesh that out at the moment. All right. So in terms of, these are gateron blacks. There's nothing terribly different or unusual about them. Pretty bog standard factory kind of arrangement. It sounds pretty good. Like that sounds and feels really nice. Actually, it's quite smooth. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to take off the enter key here and have a look at stabilizers. Okay, and of course the keycaps. Keycaps first. All right, so they're thick. They're almost a 1.5 mil, just over 1 mil, but just under a 1.5 on that. Little bit of inconsistency. I mean, that's a 1.5 on that back end there, and that's under 1.5 on that one. But it is cherry profile, okay, which is fine. And the factory set plate mounted looks like there's some lube on it. There is definitely some sort of sheen on that. And I can see at the back of that left-hand stabilizer, there's this blob of white stuff that's all over that actual bar. Like excessive, maybe, but hey, if you want it to be stabilized and smooth and quiet, then that's what you're going to do. I do like the fact that the plate is also colored to match that green quite nicely, and it looks like it's a really smooth finish on that. So I'm very happy with that. Let's put this enter back on and let's pull up around the spacebar, and we can take up the spacebar. Well, let's have a look at how these keycaps fare as well. Alright, so very similarly, they are thick enough, I feel. They're over 1 mil, up to 1.5 mil. And of course they're cherry profile keycaps, which are always nice. Yeah, so consistency on the keycap thickness is pretty good. Right. Okay. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So they've actually got some silicon dampeners in here that I suspect I would be able to pull out if I really, really tried to. But actually, it's going to use there we go. My puller arms are probably a little bit bent. Okay. They're thick things. There we go. Pop. Look at that. Good hefty bit of silicon there, and it also really shows you that they've got that silicon mat, and it is all across the PCB. So when we pulled this up earlier, come on, now I've gone and washed it in probably too hard, But if you do want to go back on it, there we go, I've got the lip of it. You can see that grey stuff, that is actually the silica mat. I just wasn't sure if it was on per switch, because when you look at the angle, it's actually all the way around the edges. Okay, so this is showing that it is actually across the flat of the PCB as well. Actually, I do wonder if they show in their exploded diagram. It doesn't show you very well, but I do wonder about how that gasket is formed if every switch is like that. I'm getting distracted here now by the fact that they have this gasket silicon thing, but I'm gonna there we go. Yeah, okay. So what I'm talking about here, right, is that the walls of the actual socket are also fully covered. So that's a really interesting design. So it's not just a flat sheet of silicon that they've got, it's actually raised up into the walls of the switch well, okay? And that definitely will make a big difference in regards to the sound profile. But what's really interesting now is I've just seen that the top plate is also got slot cuts in it. I mean, this keyboard is just getting more and more interesting as we go. So have a look at that. There is a slot cut in the actual plate. I don't know if that's for flex or if that's for sound, but for sound, adding flex cuts but then having all that dampening silicon is a really interesting way to go about it. I'm just having a look. Do they have an upper? Yeah, so they've definitely got some more slot cuts there. Okay, so you can see there's some slots that are actually cut into that plate as well at a couple of different positions. So yeah, wow, that's a really, really interesting way to go about it. Now, I'm not going to fully take this apart. It uses tiny sort of probably M2 hex, so they're not Phillips head screws. I do have the tools to do that if I wanted to, but right now I don't want to mess with it too much further. And of course, you know, my videos already get the constant feedback about how long they are anyway, so I'm sure lots of people have already dropped off because they're just skipping through the video and whatnot. But I'm going to pop this back in, I'm going to put it back together, we'll do a bit of sound bashing on it, and then we'll also plug it in and see how its lighting goes as well. Make sure I get it into the pins correctly. Once again, I can see the stabilizer on the spacebar have also been very well lubed by the factory, which is good, Okay, and I'll put that patch back on. There you go. Alt L O B O, and then normal spacebar. All right, cool. So at this point in time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the calibration microphone that I have here. So this is my my Behringer EMC 8000 calibration mic that I have, and that will allow me to take a reasonable sound sample of what this thing actually sounds like, and that way it's less impacted by the studio mic, which is my NTR, the ribbon microphone that I'm using. So in regards to what you'll hear once I switch over the inputs is that it should be a flatter response on the microphone and more accurate to what you would hear with your ears. Okay, so you should be hearing it, I believe, now from the actual calibration microphone. So let's do a monkey type. I need to plug it in. Where is it? There it is. Interesting. Did it not like that? It does not seem to like that at all. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I actually don't have a lot of USB-C cables, so I don't have a data USB-C cable to swap it out with. So that's a bit of a fail on this particular cable, because normally my extender here works perfectly fine. So I don't know why that's actually not working at all. And to plug it into the back of my PC, it's a bit of a pain. So right now I can't even test that for you. That's a little bit disappointing. Hang on. I know that the USB definitely works because I have other things plugged into it all the time, but right now, no, it seems like it does not want to respond at all. That's a bit sad. Alright, well, I'm going to have to mess with that a little bit later and potentially plug it into the PC, so we're obviously not going to be able to check out any of its lighting features that it claims that it has, but I'm just going to go and do the sound typing and just some random typing now anyway. So here is the IF98 from Yunzii. Alright, so it actually sounds really nice. It's really smooth. The response, especially with the gateron blacks, is just really silky, and I'm kind of just really disappointed that it's not plugged in and working right now. Yeah. Let me just switch back microphones, move this out of the way, and we'll have a think back on this. Okay. Alright, so that microphone is out of the way. So like all of my USB ports are natively taken, which is why I use this, because that actually takes up one of them and allows me easy access on my table rather than having to reach over and mess around with it constantly. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause for a moment, and then I'll see if I can swap it out with my normal keyboard and see how we go with it. Okay, so I have actually unplugged my normal keyboard and I've plugged this directly in, and it's still unresponsive. There's no USB sounds or indicators, and I just don't know if it's a bad cable or if the unit itself is bad. Straight out the box, that's a bit sad. It's definitely not a good reflection upon the quality, regardless, because if it's a bad cable or if it's a bad unit, if you've gone and spent 150 US plus shipping and you get this, you know, you want it to work, right? It's not, you know, it's not a small amount, especially if you potentially have a long wait time. There's no on-off switches or anything else here that I can tell is related to this, so there's really nothing that indicates to me that there's anything wrong with it, except for the fact that it's just straight up not working. Yeah, bit disappointing. I've plugged it in all the way into the back, and it's not coming up or doing anything at all. Now if I do rummage around and I manage to get another USB cable, let me think. Alright. Okay, so I do have another. I have keyboards everywhere, right? But for a lot of the ones that I don't use, you know, they live in boxes, and I've actually got one right here that's... Is this a USB-C? Aha! It's a USB-C. Okay. So I don't take out their cables and keep them around simply because of the fact that, you know, I keep them together for their own respective units, and that way they can retain their integrity and everything else. So I'm going to... Personally, the reason why I don't have a lot of cables is because I don't use a lot of USB-C devices right now. There is this, and... Okay, so I know this cable works, right? I know this cable is good, and it is unresponsive. And I know this cable works with this USB socket because I've used it before specifically. And changing the orientation. Whoa! We have lights. All right. So their USB-C is not universal. It's not whichever way. So let me just take that out and swap it around. Oh! Is it a bad cable? Does it need a first time work? Alright, let's go back to their cable, which is still plugged into the back. Okay, it works. How bizarre. It just needed a way of actually booting it in somehow for it to actually work. Yeah. This works now. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so let's just give it a try. So we've got some RGB settings here. So function right and left. Function... I don't know what that's actually doing. Oh, function right shift, my bad. Okay, so there we go, it's off, but that's still going. That's back on. Function right control is to change the background effect. So now it's rippling from the middle. Now it's static. Now it's pulsing and breathing. Different color mode. Raindrops. Single light flashing. Row explosion. Snakes. It's waving left and right. There's all sorts of names for these things. I don't know what they all are. But okay, so we definitely do have some some RGB. Now there's some keyboard settings here which is media related stuff, but I'm not going to actually bother with those. But at least we now have it working. So that was really weird. You did see me plug it in a number of times. I made sure I plugged it in all the way, and for whatever reason it didn't work in one direction until I turned it around with the other. Hopefully that is just a bit of an unusual one for whoa, yeah. Wow, that's really, really tight. So I feel like maybe it's just that you've got to, maybe they've recessed it just a little bit touch far and the contactors are just on the cusp and you've really got to make sure it goes in. Maybe it's the fact that I was actually flexing it earlier and the alignment of the PCB and the socket depth was probably just a bit out. So yeah, that's just something to be aware of. The only other thing, I guess, for me, now that I'm sort of reflecting back upon this, is it doesn't have any adjustability, right? So there's no feet on this. So if you don't like the angle of it, then you're going to have to find alternative ways of propping it up and changing that. But to be honest, the angle is actually quite comfortable. I don't know how many degrees it is, but it looks like a sort of standard 5-degree angle on that, which, you know, is what it looks like. Yeah. So let's wrap, noting that, you know, this is already a half-an-hour video, which I'm sure is extremely long for many people. Things that I like and things that I don't like. Well, first of all, things that I don't like is it creaks if you flex it. When you type on it, it doesn't. It's actually quite firm. It's quite rugged. Things that I don't like is the fact that the USB cable seemed like it didn't work straight off the bat. So hopefully other people, if they were to get this keyboard, aren't going to experience a similar issue. Things that I don't like is this light strip here. I'm sure it's there for a variety of reasons to tell you what's going on with the lighting, but I feel like it's really distracting. Like, if you have no other lighting effect on as such, right? Well, let's just go back to default modes. Okay, if I turn that off, right? So there's no RGB on right now, but that thing is still going off. Okay, and that's really distracting. If you're in an office environment and you like the look of this board, the sound of this board, the feel of this board, but you don't want it to scream RGB and gamer and have other people poke at you on it, that is annoying. You could probably do something about that. Let's have a look. Function 8. Okay, so there's some indicator light over here. Something about brightness of log LED. Effect speed of log LED. Yeah, so that's this thing. So it's definitely slowed down, but now if I can I change? Right Alt. There we go. Okay, so now I can actually turn it off. Right, much better. Okay, so that annoyance has gone off. Right, can fix that. Alright, so at least that niggle is gone. In terms of it being an all plastic construction, doesn't actually bother me. Look, it does flex and creak if you're going to stress it, but when you're actually typing, like, you can't feel it. And I think the sound profile, in terms of positives, the sound profile is really nice. I do like the fact that it's very smooth. All of the stabilizers are really smooth, well lubed, straight off the bat, and I like the fact that it has that silicon gasket. Well, that silicon, you know, sheet, layer, film, whatever you want to call it. It being a gasket mount, you know, I've not really experienced a lot of gasket mounts, so I can't really say by comparison to other boards, but so far, if this is gasket mount, it feels good, feels nice. So there you have it. There you have it. This is the Yunzii Keynovo IF98. I thought that was really funky too, and I guess if you wanted to go to the effort of removing that and replacing it with a custom fill item there as well. That would also be pretty cool for a bit of, you know, self-customization. Yeah, what else? What else? I think that's pretty much it. In terms of ratings, I'd probably give this a 7.5 to 8 on it for an affordable, actually, at 150. I think that's actually quite affordable for this size of keyboard. And I would actually probably take this into the office if I needed one. So yeah, cool. The longer I sit there and think about this, the longer this is actually growing on me as far as a keyboard goes. Alright, pleasantly surprised. Definitely was not expecting this board to be of this quality, and I'm glad that I had the chance to actually check this out. So thank you very much to Yunzii for sending this to me. I don't know if there'll be any links or coupon codes below. I'll reach out to the email that contacted me to see if there's anything that they wanted to go with this for this video. So do check out the video description below if there's any offers there, if you thought this keyboard is something for you. So thanks very much for coming along and checking out this video. Of course, if you like this kind of stuff, hit that like button, hit that bell button so you get notifications, and of course, you know, subscribe if you want to support me and the kind of stuff that I do. Alright, that's it. Thanks for coming along, and of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.